Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE. We're streaming online at kvre.com. He's Tracy Simpson and I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, welcome back. Hope you had a good week.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. We are loaded. We've got 4 quarters of lots of tailgate, and I'm telling you, get ready because we're dropping it right now.
That's right. We've got a couple of high school coaches in our summer football preview as that continues this week, and a legendary athletic director joining us later in the show. But first, big week down in Texas this week for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And Tracy, this week has been filled with huge moments, whether it was Bobby Bones winning the All-Star Softball Game Celebrity MVP, or maybe a national anthem that was very memorable, maybe for all the wrong reasons. There was something for everybody, certainly for the All-Star Game this week. But before the All-Star Game, the MLB Draft sent a very big Arkansas Razorback to my favorite team in the MLB, the Chicago White Sox, selecting Hagen Smith with the 5th overall pick. Tracy, I couldn't be more excited for this. The reigning SEC Pitcher of the Week is headed to the south side of Chicago to help rebuild the White Sox, and he's the highest drafted pitcher in Arkansas Razorbacks history and adds elite level depth to an already credible pitching core in the farm system, especially when it comes to lefties. Now, listen, while Smith alone is not going to make the White Sox a contender, I'm a diehard White Sox fan.
They're only 32 out, Mark.
Listen, stop.
They're only 32.
Stop. The season's been over.
There's a chance.
He's not going to make the White Sox a contender, but it is certainly going to help. And hey, I'm really excited about this move, I got to say.
I think they'll bring him out. A lot of people are thinking, well, he pitched this year, blah, blah, blah. At 32 out, they can't. Why not bring him out? I mean, he's not going to sit in AAA. They'll bring him out the latter part. You watch. I'm putting it on the board right now. They'll bring him out. He'll pitch before October. Okay, I'm just telling you right now.
I just hope signing a pitcher the caliber of Hagen Smith will inspire ownership to, 1, fire everybody, and then 2, actually try to compete in an AL Central that is honestly really manageable. Maybe outside of Cleveland, a wild card spot out of the AL Central is actually really manageable.
Well, it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a whole lot of managing for that one, Mark.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on. Exactly. Home Run Derby.
Hey, Home Run Derby was a certainly fun one to watch. A lot of big hitters out there, and I always love watching it every single year. Big bats and a lot of great moments.
Well, and a big bat with Hernandez because it came down to the very final, and sure enough, he had to have the numbers, and he won it, and running out of time. And he just did win it. And of course, that going back to Boston, where you've always had some big hitters from there. And sure enough, Hernandez doing it and doing it in the right way. But what I saw was the color of the guard changing. The younger kids coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We were thinking of some of the, the reliables and such like that. And of course, some of the ones that have always been hitting dingers. But now I believe it's the changing of the guard a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing this newer generation of MLB being ushered in a big way. And you really saw that in this year's All-Star Game, the big finale. Hey, guess what? The American League back on top again, winning the 10th, 10 All-Star games out of the past 11 for the American League. Hey, the NL looked like they were going to start really strong in the in the top of the 3rd inning. Mm-hmm. Showtime Shohei Ohtani with the 3-run blast looked like it was all over from there. But the AL ties it up in the bottom of the 3rd inning on a 2-run double from Juan Soto and an RBI single from Cleveland catcher David Fry. And the AL took the lead for good in the bottom of the 5th on a 2-run blast from Boston left fielder and eventual All-Star Game MVP Jarren Duran. Hey, in Oakland Athletics hurler Mason Miller picks up the win in relief, which is kind of a seemingly fitting end for a team really playing its final season in Oakland. It was certainly a great All-Star game to remember, and really a great All-Star weekend to remember as well. A lot of things going to be talked about for a long time. Now the second half of the season is upon us, and boy, it'll be September and October before we know it.
They had a chance, though. I mean, when you see Ohtani just blast that one, I thought that for a moment, oh, here we go. But then the pitchers just sort of took it over after that. Small ball was what they played, the Americans, as far as doubles and singles and then driving in the runs at, finally the 5-3 decision. But after about the 6th, you saw the pitchers start to take over. And I thought, well, it was a fairly even match ball game.
I'm really excited for the second half of the season coming up. I think that we are going to see some really good baseball, some intense rivalries, and as always, some big teams heating up whenever it matters the most. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Like we said, our summer football preview series continues with the head coach of the Cutter Morningstar Eagles, Nick Finley, will be joining us today, as well as the head coach of the Bauxite Miners, Caleb Perry, will be joining us later on in the show today. And later on, we'll talk to Fountain Lake Athletic Director, the legendary Mark Davis, on his recent Hall of Fame induction, another huge accolade in a career full of great moments. We've got a lot of great interviews coming up today, Tracy.
Mark, I think it's exciting because with Fountain Lake going back in the 7-4A, Bauxite coming back to the 7-4A, and, of course, Cutter going back to 11-man. This is a big, big show. And, hey, we're all ready for it. Second quarter coming up. You don't want to miss it right here on the tailgate edition of Sports and Shorts at 92.9 and streaming at KVRE.com.
Welcome back to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. In our exclusive coverage of local high school football, our summer preview continues this week with one of the rising stars, not only in the state of Arkansas, but certainly here in Garland County, Cutter Morningstar, one of the 501's biggest Cinderella stories last season. They turned a winless 2022 campaign into a Class 8-man state semifinals appearance last season. Behind legendary senior quarterback Peyton Mills, the Eagles return to 11-man football this fall with plans to soar to the top of the Class 4-3A conference. Joining us this week, Coach Nick Finley. Coach, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us this week.
Man, I appreciate it. Very blessed to be able to talk about it.
So, Coach, obviously great success last season. Was that Cutter Morningstar's best season in program history?
I believe the 2007 made it to the playoffs. They had a really good run. I know that it ended kind of in an unfortunate situation with some eligibility stuff, but there's been a couple. I think in school history, there's only been to make the playoffs. We were the fourth last year, and still looking for the first playoff in school program history, and that's what we're shooting for this year.
Coach, obviously you bring some very experienced talent to your squad this season. Of course, you have to start at the top. Quarterback Peyton Mills is back with you guys. He has numerous records, not only with your program, but in the state of Arkansas as well, being looked at to play on Saturdays. What's it like to have a weapon of that caliber in your toolkit coming into this season?
Well, it makes my job a lot easier. When he's a good playmaker, a smart kid, understands the game, spends a lot of time outside of football practice to be able to go home and be able to get into film work and look at certain things. But, we're able to be a little bit more advanced because we have a veteran quarterback and a guy with his skill level. He makes everybody around him better. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. So really looking forward to seeing what the transition from 8-man to 11-man is this year for him. So just really excited, been working hard. Obviously going from 8 to 11-man, you're going to see a lot more coverages and everything else. So he's learned a lot this summer, and can't wait to get to fall camp to be able to fine-tune some things.
Coach, what was it like when Miss Anderson and the support around the community came and said, look, we're fixing to turf the field, okay? And being able to do that made things just change around, having the community support you and all the different things that they've done now for the program. How did that make you feel when they came to you and said, we're going to turf that field?
I can't take credit for all that. The turf field was already approved before I took the job. It was just kind of an extra. Coach Kinsinger was one that really backed that and got the funds and everybody else to kind of do that. So I can't take credit for that. I give that all to Coach Kinsinger. But it's definitely helped us in being able to take our program and our facilities to the next level. We're like everybody else now, just a little bit smaller, but still we're able to do some things that are very helpful for our athletes. It puts us on the same playing field with school choice and everything else that it is now. We don't have the facilities of what everybody in the county is considered the Cutter facilities. now we're top of the line. We got LED lights, we got light show, flashing lights when we score, when we run out. It's one of the top premier ones in the state, and our turf is one of the best, with Hellas being able to do our turf. But the support from Dr. Anderson and the community and the school board has been just, man, it's been over the top. When you come in and you see the facility and everything else, but there were some needs that needed to be answered on, jerseys and everything else. I mean, when I first got here, we had 7 players. Last year we fielded, or the first year we fielded 17, and last year we fielded 35. This year we got 42. So we continue to grow in our numbers, especially for a 3A school. It's really large. But when you start talking about more numbers, you got to have more equipment. They haven't been hesitant to say no on anything. They've been very supportive. We need new shoulder pads and everything else, new jerseys. Now we fundraise for some of our jerseys and stuff. I mean, we have multiple jersey outfits. We're going to be able to do. We got a black jersey, we got a white one, we got a red one, we got 2 sets of pants. So,
wow.
Can't say enough about our program and being able to be top tier. And with this generation and everything else, they like the flash. You guys know that.
Yeah.
So, I kind of hit that level with that. I've learned that over my years, especially from Coach Patton and him being at Fayetteville, and learning about the flash that he brings and the mentality he brings. I knew that was one thing when I became head coach, that if we can be able to do that, when you do that for the kids, and make them feel a little good about it.
They're kind of like the Oregon Ducks of Garland County, with all the different options out there. Hey, listen, my kids play basketball at the new facility there on Cutter. Love it. And, of course, as a broadcaster, we've been out there since the field was turfed and everything like that, calling games from there. Love it. Absolutely love it. And, one of the things I wanted to expand on, Coach, that you mentioned was the growth of numbers and participation in your program. There's actually a number of schools here in the local listening area that went down to 8-man football, did their 2 years, and now are all coming back into 11-man this upcoming fall season. How important was it for your program to make that journey through 8-man football to revitalize things and come back with a new sense of pride and competitiveness as you return to 11-man?
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle, obviously, coming in. Didn't know if, we were actually, not a lot of people know this, we were at a junction of, I didn't know if we were going to have enough. Obviously, having 7 kids going into the school year, my first year, I didn't know if we were going to have enough, but we ended up fielding 17. Once school started, it was, hey, do you want to play? Yeah. So, we got numbers out. But at the same time, the kids pushed through. 8-man kind of taught us that we can be competitive. And 8-man, there were some 4A schools and some 3A schools. And, obviously there's 2A schools that are doing it. It just really helped us be able to have a little bit of confidence and have some success. We can't be more blessed with the conference we're in. We feel like in our conference, we're battling for a playoff spot. And I feel really good with our talent coming back and our players and our work ethic that we can make a run. But at the same time, you still got to take one game at a time, and you got to grow each week, and then you got to take it to the next level. And if we can do that, I think we can have a very successful season. And, I'm just thrilled to kind of see other schools take off in numbers too. We did 707 at Lake Hamilton this last week, and Fountain Lake was out there, and their numbers have grown as well. Obviously with coaching staffs and changes and everything else, sometimes the right coach can get the right players out with a different mentality, and sometimes, it is what it is. But at the same time, just to see the success, and just like what I told them whenever we played them and stuff, I said, hey guys, love the numbers, love to see you guys striving, even though they're a rival of ours. As a football coach and everything else, you want to see those programs be successful too, because it's good for their communities.
No doubt about that. Coach, you were speaking about one game at a time. What game this season have you got marked on the calendar right now saying, this is where we got to make a stand right here. This is where we got to get things going. What game is that? Because I've looked at your schedule. It's not an easy one by no means.
No, sir. We start off with Poe in week 1. I think that's going to be a real test. Vic Barrett, Keith Barrett, their coaches over there, they do a great job. Actually, a lot of people know this. Me and Vic were on the same football team at Manic Cove. He was a senior, I was a sophomore. He was a quarterback, I was the center. So we know each other really well. But kind of one of those things with setting the tempo with them. Then we play Mountain Pine, and then it's kind of one of those things. That's one of those rivalries that kind of a little bit old, and there's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be a lot of buzz. So it's not going to be an easy task. Coach does a really good job over there, and they're trying to make a move. And 11 man also. Then we come out with the Fearless Friday game of the week. Definitely one of the first in Cutter Morningstar history. But we play Fountain Lake. So Battle of the Gorge is September 19th on a Thursday. It's going to be televised all over the state. And what better way to have that at Cutter? Be able to show our facilities, be able to have our athletes be able to play. It's going to be a real good game. Coach Rich, I've known him for years, coached against him when I was at Bauxite in Malvern. So, he's a really sharp guy, and I'm glad he's heading in the right direction. Perryville, one of the top, teams in the conference. They're going to be huge. If we can make a statement, we're playing at their place. Obviously, the one that everybody talks about is Glen Rose, but with Glen Rose having a bunch of turnover, could be a game we could slip in if we're playing right and obviously healthy. We could do some stuff, and Magnet Cove and Jessieville, those are old rivals of mine, or Jessieville was when I was in high school at Magnet Cove. And then, you always want to do well against your old alma mater when you play them too, but,
no doubt.
we got a lot of games that I got circled, but at the same time, each one can make us better. And, just looking forward to having the opportunity to be able to do that and kind of showcase our kids and our program. It's going to be awesome.
So you hear that, Tracy? Every game is a must-see game for Cutter Morningstar this season. I'm so excited about how well this program is doing, Coach. I know it's been a long time coming. I've got family that attended Cutter Morningstar well before I was in the high school myself, and they're all super proud of what this school looks like, what this community has become, and certainly what the athletic programs have done over the past few years. Great job. Keep up the great work.
I'll tell you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. The biggest thing coming in, obviously growing up playing Cutter, I knew what Cutter had been and the struggles that they faced. But with the new facility and everything else, we had to change the perception of the program. We're just not the old Cutter, we're the new Cutter. And we're here to compete. We're here to play teams. And, when we kind of show that, just kind of a testament, a learning lesson for our kids. We played Lake Hamilton in the 7-on-7 last week, and we took them to overtime. So to say that Cutter Morningstar can't is just, crazy. But at the same time, our kids are battling, they're fighting, they're learning to do the right things to be able to put us in the right step moving forward to keep the program going in the right direction. We got a really good junior high group coming up, and I'm really excited about. Got a bunch of skill, and I'm going to tell you, we got a quarterback in Smith he'll be a freshman this year. He's more than likely he's going to break all Peyton's. That I could probably count on with him. He's smart. He's got a great arm. He's 6 foot right now. Just got to get into some camps, get some looks, but really excited about the future of the program, not just this year after Peyton graduates. That's what everybody thinks. We got some really good kids coming up in the junior high.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, we will be there, no doubt, about that game of the week. And, of course, we'll be calling it on the radio, and love to call your guys' names. There's no doubt we've certainly enjoyed it. And if you hear a white Chevy truck out there on Highway 70 honking at you when I come by and watch your practices from the highway every once in a while. So love to see that big eagle out there. I've been following Cutter for a long time, and the growth is unbelievable, and it is just a pleasure to be able to see what's going on over there now. Hey, they've got somebody coaching right now at the helm that's doing a pretty good job, and we appreciate all you've done over there. Okay, bud?
Well, I appreciate that. And when you honk, just go ahead and take that right, take another right, and come out there. I'll put a whistle in your hand. You coach a little bit.
You know me. I've got my next youngest is now over at Bigelow coaching, so maybe y'all see each other on the field some other time.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, definitely, no doubt. But I appreciate you guys having me on and being able to talk about Cutter Morningstar and our football program and in the direction we're going. So just really excited about it.
No doubt. All right, Coach. We'll see you out on the gridiron. Appreciate you so much for joining us. And go Eagles, okay?
I appreciate it. Go Eagles. Thank you.
All right. Well, Mark, I tell you what, no doubt in the right direction, huh?
Always a great time to talk with Coach Nick Finley. And when we come back, we're going to take things to Saline County, where we'll talk to the head coach of the Bauxite Miners, Caleb Perry. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE. Welcome back to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, right here on 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver, and our high school summer football preview continues with a look at Saline County's Bauxite Miners. Coach Perry, for the past couple of years, has led the Miners to great results in the 4-4A. Last season, being the number 2 seed out of the conference, they advanced to the second round of the playoffs and nearly took down a really good Warren team. But this year, the team returns to the mighty 7-4A, a conference that we're very familiar with, Tracy. Coach Caleb Perry, thank you so much for joining us this week. How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. Just working these kids out, trying to get better.
So, Coach, we talked about it. Great success in the 4-4A over the past couple of years, and now the team transitions back to the 7-4A. Tell us a little bit about how last season's results have kind of shaped the outlook and the mindset of this team as we head into a clean slate this fall.
Well, anytime you have success, it's kids excited. Certainly makes your off-season better. That excitement kind of stays around the program, and the kids want to build on top of it. And so we had some good seniors last year that left a great foundation for some of our team. And so we've got a lot of guys that are just trying to reap what they were able to do last.
Coach, go a little bit further in depth. Tell us about some of maybe the key players, the team's strengths. What is it that Bauxite is going to be able to do very well this season? Obviously, you guys know how tough this conference is in order to go in and compete and try to grab one of those playoff positions.
Well, Bauxite always has great defense. We've got a bunch of tough kids that fly to the ball. Coach Wimberly has done a great job on defense, and we've got some very physical players. That's something we've always done well. We also we believe we can put up some numbers on offense this year. We've got a lot of explosive players field. We've got a great receiving core. We got some great guys to use at running back, and we feel like we've probably got one of the best quarterbacks in 4A. And so I think we can do some good things.
Yeah, so go into depth a little bit more on Wimberly, what he brings to the table, and ultimately what style of offense we might see out of the Miners this year.
Yeah, so Marcus is a guy. He's a coach on the field. We've been holding him out of some of the team camp. He's coaching from the sideline. He's helping kids with technique. He knows everything. He can play just about every spot. And so it's such an asset. Obviously, his talent is tremendous, but he's such a high football IQ player that he just helps us. He's a coach on the field. So defensively, we move him around. We move him around on offense and defense. Offense, we have him out at wide receiver, and we bring him in as a running back, and we try to disguise where we're going to have him, but he can also line up as the quarterback himself. He can throw a little bit, and obviously, as far as any type of option type plays, he's pretty deadly at those types of things. So Marcus is certainly a great asset for us, and if we can protect and block well up front, he's going to be tough to stop.
Coach, through the years, Bauxite, of course, has a heavy tradition. There's no doubt about that. What's the transition you think is going to be like coming from where you guys were? Like Mark was talking about the 7-4A, the schedule you had the last couple of years, coming back to the 7-4A, where you know how it is, a little bit more of a competition level. But do the kids and do y'all see that as a comfortable position coming back to the 7-4A?
I certainly believe we're in a better position physically to come back to the 7-4A. The last time we were in the 7-4A, I think Bauxite had something. They did pretty well one year with Coach Patton, and they haven't done much in the 7-4A. And so, I think they ranked us in number one in that conference, which obviously I'm honored to have the respect of other coaches, but we haven't done anything in the 7-4A. And so we've got to come with a work mentality and prove ourselves. As far as the last cycle, when we were in the 7-4A previously, our junior high teams did pretty good. And so those guys are now in high school. So we believe, a lot of our players have had success against some of the schools in the 7-4A. So I think mentally we're in a good place and physically we're in a good place because our kids weight room, and we've got a lot of really strong kids. We're putting up great numbers, at least for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can only measure ourselves off of where we've been, and, you know, we're a lot stronger than we were the last time we were in the 7.
And Coach, to expand on that a little bit, you mentioned the preseason rankings. There's a lot of talk about Bauxite this season and what this program is able to do. Of course, Marcus Wimberly is kind of like a household name for you guys on the gridiron. It certainly feels like. And, you know, being ranked number 1, also saw on Twitter that you guys are being ranked number 3 in all of Class 4A by Arkansas Football Scoop. What are your thoughts on that level of attention and, you know, that level of interest in the program this year? How is that fueling your guys to go out and try to back that up and prove that, yeah, we're absolutely worth that designation here in the preseason?
Well, it's certainly something to talk about. I mean, like I said, it's an honor. It's to gain that respect. When I first took over here, we didn't have a lot of respect in the ranking. We've had to kind of change that up ourselves. Like, we haven't won a game this year, I can tell you that much. All I care about is that we're 1-0 every Friday, and every Friday is a clean slate. You know, you can almost kind of get drunk on rankings, you know, and get delusional about what's actually going on. I mean, every week, you know, these kids, they got to go to school, they got girlfriends, they got jobs, they got families, you know, there may be injuries, this and that and the other. And so every week is a different week. And so I just really want our guys to focus on every week at a time and be 1-0 every week. If we happen to fall short one week, put it behind, move on.
Coach, I've seen some changes now that you've come on board as the head over there throughout the whole stadium area. Things are looking up over there as far as construction and stuff, huh?
Well, that's certainly an exciting thing. You know, we are very proud of what we have. Bauxite, our administration, always done a great job supporting us, giving us what we. You know, our field, it really kind of has it's kind of bowled in a little bit within the way the stadium is set up, and of course being able to get the new guest bleachers, that'll be our guests will be grateful for that, and it'll look better. But as far as anything, nothing's really going to change with the pit because, man, the pit is where we come to go to work. You know, back in the day, the miners, when they had a problem with somebody, they would take them down to the pit and they'd lock the gate. And so that's how the miners back in the day used to settle their problems. And so we even though we got us some new bleacher, mentality is not going to change it.
The big rock's still down there in the end zone, isn't it?
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Yeah, Coach, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. You know, we've been to the pit many times over the years and broadcasted from those visitor bleachers. I got to say, when I saw on Facebook early in the year that those guys were being torn down and new ones coming, Coach, I got pretty excited. I'm going to be honest with you out there. We're going to be really excited, of course, for the big Fountain Lake Bauxite game being played at the pit later this year. And, yeah, make sure you guys save us a spot over there in the top corner of those visitor bleachers. We really enjoy the hospitality over there.
Now, what was the question about the guest bleachers?
Hopefully they'll be done by then.
Yeah, hopefully, because we have big plans to come call a game from those bleachers later on in the year whenever Fountain Lake comes to town.
Yeah. I mean, they laid the concrete yesterday. I mean, they're working on it. They tore down the other bleacher. They've got concrete now, so I would imagine it's just the metal construction. You know, the pieces going up, so I would imagine it'll go up pretty quick.
Well, Coach, I'm really excited to hear about that. But more on a serious note here, we've talked about it one game at a time, right? You know, in order to back up all that preseason talk, you guys have to walk the walk, right? One game at a time. When we look at your schedule, tell us maybe one or two must-see games that the fans certainly have to get out to this season to see you guys in action.
Well, you know, historically, we've had a great rivalry with Glen Rose. We canceled that game, you know, years ago, and we brought it back. So I think a lot of the old timers are excited to play Glen Rose. You know, then Harmony Grove, the Saline River Showdown. We have that. That's a trophy game. We pass the trophy back and forth. And both of those teams we play are very, very tough kids, well coached, and it's one of those games that those kids just kind of lay their life out there to try to win. And so it's just all American, what our country's all about. You know, two small towns getting together, under sportsmanship, competing under the lights. I mean, this is what our country knows. And so I'm just glad that I get to be a part of all this. So those are definitely two games. I think as far as some of the big games, Nashville, Arkadelphia, Malvern have historically kind of been the ones controlling the 7-4A. Ashdown has a little bit. And so those teams always have talent. So we're going to have to bring our A game. It'll be interesting with some of the new coaches coming in down there, what teams they run, what they do. How have they been able to retain players, or I don't know. I don't know anything about them. So those three games are going to be very important games for us if we want to win the conference for sure.
Coach Caleb Perry, the Bauxite Miners. Coach, thank you so much for coming onto the program this week. Good luck this season, and go Miners.
Thank you very much. Go Miners.
It's Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE, streaming online at kvre.com. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver, and for our local sports roundup this week, we have a very special guest joining us on the program, former Fountain Lake Athletic Director Mark Davis. The legendary Coach Mark Davis was inducted into the Arkansas High School Athletic Administrators Association Hall of Fame this week for his outstanding contributions over a career spanning multiple decades at Fountain Lake Charter High School. Coach, congratulations on being elected to the Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining us this week.
Well, thanks, Mark and Tracy. I appreciate it.
So, Coach, as an athletic director, is it really like a thankless job? Let's be honest. There's so much that goes into this role that maybe even people don't really understand the level of commitment, dedication, and really sacrifice as well that plays into it. What is it like as an athletic director? Maybe take us behind the scenes of some of the responsibilities.
Well, I wouldn't say it's thankless, because you get to see kids and coaches compete every day. You get to see the community every day. You get to be around great people that are mentoring our kids. You wake up and it's 365 days before 7. A coach's wife, wonderful woman, because the coaches are gone. They're gone for a long time during season, out of season. But my wife, Teresa, she has to put up with all this for every season, for every sport. And so the thankless job is my wife, because she had put up with all that for a long time, being gone just about every day except Sunday, from sun up to sundown, and sometimes sun up to sun up, if you want to know the truth. So I just enjoyed watching the kids compete, being a part of that. Games you lose, you cry, and games you win, you cry. It's a dynamic that is a wonderful experience for kids and a wonderful experience for parents.
Mark, through the years, of course, we'd been at Fountain Lake together for quite some time, and seeing you through the process, from going from a football game on a Friday to maybe a game on Saturday with the girls playing volleyball, and then you doing, just like you said, miles and miles of back and forth, and then just like you said, you got the grandkids with you this week and going to some of their games again on Saturday. So did you ever think in all your years, going back to college days, that would have come to this? I mean, after all these years, an incredible success story?
No, not at all, Tracy. It's very humbling, to be honest with you. I started out as a snotty-nosed 22-year-old kid, and then to culminate Friday night was quite an honor, and it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the coaches, and it wasn't for the administrators, if it wasn't for the kids. My goodness, that's what we're in it for, and your kids came through, and that's what we're here for. We're here for the kids. But if it wasn't for the coaches doing what they did, the administrator, and of course the Fountain Lake community, my gosh, I mean, they supported our kids, and they still do support our kids to the thick and thin, and they're cheering us on. And man, I mean, there's nothing like to me, growing up in the football realm, there was nothing like it to me for a Friday night at Fountain Lake under the lights. And but then you go to a volleyball game or a volleyball tournament again, and those kids are competing. Tina does a great job there. And I think I think all of our coaches, and it doesn't matter, it's statewide. It's not just at Fountain Lake. All the coaches are role models. And, of course, you want to hire the ones that are good role models. And, man, it's just been a blessing. That's what it's been. It's been a blessing to be around Fountain Lake for so long and just go through the support that the school had for it.
Coach, of course, you get the call earlier this year that you've been selected to the Hall of Fame. And, of course, now that ceremony is in the books. Take us back and kind of recap the night for us. What was the ceremony like for you and your family?
Well, to start with, David Daniel, who used to be the athletic director at Jonesboro. We've had a real good relationship for years, and he's the one who gave me the phone call. And of course, I was very emotional. I broke down, and just because, like I said, I keep using the word humbled, to be in the names of some of the guys that have gone through there. Some are still with us. You know, a lot of them are still with us, but some of them have passed. But to get that phone call was incredible. And to go in with Johnny Johnson, finished up his career at Russellville, was at Little Rock School District for a long time. And then the late Charlie Sorrells, who was at Atkins for a long time. He passed about 8 years ago. Got to speak with his wife, who I'd met several times before Friday night. But Friday night was great because I had my family there, my little granddaughter, one of my grandsons, who's an 8th grader at Center Point. My granddaughter's 7 years old. And then she started crying when they started talking about it and made my wife cry. And then everybody at the table started getting misty-eyed, you know. But then I had a group from Fountain Lake, and then several of the coaches came in and got a table and supported me in that way. But just to hear your name called amongst those people that you looked up to for so long, and in the athletic director world, you hardly come up with something new. It's the same way with coaches. I call it plagiarizing, because you just take somebody's idea and you just run with it. And so a lot of the ADs that were there that I've known for years in the business were there, and of course I thanked them. I took several pictures, but we had a ball. But they at the deal there at the ceremony, the induction, they did coaches. I think they had 6 coaches go in the Hall of Fame. I think they had 5 officials go in the Hall of Fame, and then 3 athletic directors go in, which I was humbly part of that. And I'll continue to go back every year. They invite us back every year to come and be recognized. So that'll be fun. Just
Mark, through the years, there's been so many moments, and of course, that's going to be one of those memories that'll be long lasting. It'll be talked about at Thanksgiving and Christmas and from game to game and such. But then this is going to be a tough one for you because there's been so many, and I'm sure of, because I've spent a few of them with you. But going back to Fountain Lake, what is one of your favorite memories that just shines always? It comes up at conversations, or you talk at Dollar General, at Walmart with. What's one of your favorite memories there that always comes up on a conversation?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
I know.
They asked me that too. You know, a lot of people have asked me that. You know, and of course, the cliche answer is to see kids compete. You know, that was the most memorable thing. But I guess, you know, the state championship game and the runs we had in football, runs we had in volleyball, getting to the state championship game, you know, watching the kids compete on the golf course, seeing those guys, and the tennis kids, you know, basketball, same thing, going to tournaments and watching kids. Man, just, you know, we beat Nashville for the first time in football.
I remember that one.
That's a long time ago.
I remember that. One of my boys was playing there.
That was an exciting night. You know, I've been to volleyball tournaments. We'll be playing till 1 a.m. in the morning in Mena, Arkansas, and beat Siloam Springs, who was a 5-time reigning champion in 5A volleyball. Pardon me. And we were a little 3A school at the time and beat those girls. And our kids, you know, at 1 a.m. in the morning, you win that. And you're so tired, but you're so excited for kids. So just the excitement level for the kids, the excitement level for the community, for everything that goes on up there, extracurricular activities, whether it's band, choir, or athletics. It plays a huge role in a kid's education. And, you know, academics is huge. I get that 100%, and our coaches preach that.
Of course, Coach, your time at Fountain Lake spanned multiple decades. Your name is on the side of the field house at Cobra Stadium. Now you're in the Hall of Fame. You've done quite well for yourself since you retired 3 years ago, don't you think? What's next for Mark Davis now? Hopefully more vacations in the works, yeah?
Well, my wife and I started selling real estate. a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. We worked with Trademark here in the village, and so we're doing that. And so if anybody needs a home listed, here I am. Just a little plug. But besides that, a little bit of travel, see the grandkids, watch grandkids grow up. They all live within an hour of here. We got 2 little ones that are 10 minutes from us, and the rest of them live in Glenwood, so they're about an hour away. Just to enjoy ourselves. Like I said, we enjoy the real estate deal. We enjoy interacting with people, and I don't know, see what God has in store. I mean, God has blessed me with a wonderful wife, wonderful friend. None of this would be possible without God. And had a friend, one of my friends that I grew up with, his dad just passed away Saturday night. He was 92 years old. And, when we've talked about that, you go back and wonder all the things he did for us as kids. Adults have a responsibility to raise their kids right and be a part of their lives. And that's just what I want to do. I want to be a part of my kids' lives and my grandkids.
Well, you certainly have earned it, and you've earned every accolade that's come to you, Mark. And through the years, we've had some good times. I'm telling you that, and hopefully we can mix and match a little bit more from here on out as retirement levels are working, and sort of some semi-hours in the real estate business. But I cannot say enough congratulations to you. What a great award, very well deserved. And appreciate all you did for us down in the community and in Fountain Lake. And once again, congratulations to you, Coach. We appreciate you so much, and look forward to seeing you in the after years, so to speak. Okay, bud?
Well, you'll see me. I'll be up there at the ball games. I'll be sitting on the track watching ball games, and I try to make as many things can. As I've told people, I can leave at halftime now. If I want to leave, I can leave, and I don't have to stay around, till 11:30 or 12 o'clock midnight. And matter of fact, I went out and watched Coach Giller and his team play Greenwood this year. And when I was talking to him before the game, I said, "Guys, I probably won't be around after halftime." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I can leave. You can't." So, I don't have to worry about traffic. So, I'll be up at school and supporting Coach Richardson and the football team, and then Coach Moore and Dad, and then the golf team, Coach Blease. Living out here in the village, I take my golf cart over and watch them play, and I have good rapport with those guys still. So I enjoy speaking with them and sharing stories. Because if we don't share stories, that's one of the things that I wish I had said before in the interview, that, we get to share stories. If you don't share those stories, that history goes away. And so every time I get up in the coach's office or whatever and start telling stories about the past, the things that had happened over the years, for the last 40 years, I like for those things to continue, those history moments to continue. And, it's a joy to get around them and fellowship with the guys and girls up there. And like I said, they do a great job.
Well, of course, Coach, we'll be starting year number 15 in the booth calling the Cobras this fall. And hey, just a reminder, you're not the athletic director anymore. You can come join us in the booth, and you can still leave at halftime if you want.
Well, I'd love to come up and say hi sometime, and just give me a buzz if you need some help to get up there, or you need to come up there, and I'd love to do some of that if you need it.
All right.
Y'all have done a great job for the program. I mean, I've listened to games now in the last 3 years. I've listened to games on the radio. Of course, I'll leave at halftime and turn it on, and y'all are on. Of course, I listen to you on the way home. So I enjoy that, and I really appreciate what y'all have done for the programs here at Fountain Lake.
Well, we sure do appreciate you, Mark, and we'll be in touch soon. And as always, go Cobras. Appreciate you.
Amen. Thank y'all. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we've got Sports and Shorts edition, Tailgate edition. Man, we're on our fourth quarter and out of here, huh, Mark?
That's our show this week. You can text the show at any time, 501-915-1300 during the week. And we'll see you every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on 92.9 KVRE. For Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.